and a Splash of Fanta from the field of 68. We have a big show for you today. Coming down from Lubbock, Texas. Pride of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. He is a star on the court. He's a personality. He's a very compelling player in the sport of college basketball. McClung, Big 12 Player of the Week this past week as we record as well. We got a lot of interesting stuff from McClung on being doubted before in his life, on his family upbringing, and you're going to get to hear some interesting thoughts on Chris Beard, who has this Red Raiders team rounding into form. Sure, Texas Tech Demetris lost to Baylor. There's zero shame in that. They went to Texas and won. I am buying this team just like I think we both were at the outset of the season. People seem to forget that Texas Tech played in the last national championship game. They have pieces to once again make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, part of a Big 12 conference that I think is the conference best situated to have a national championship team because of the cream of the crop at the top.
Yeah, I think this team has Sweet 16 Elite Eight potential because they play hard and they defend. And when you can defend, you win championships. Not saying that they're going to win the national championship this year, but you always get a chance to be in that conversation, to compete at the highest level when you defend. And what I love about Chris Beard is he's allowing these guys, these pieces to play. So whether it's 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whoever he decides to plug into this game, that player knows that they are a piece of the puzzle. And it makes everything a lot better. You see these guys having fun, and you can tell that they have a camaraderie, whether it's in practice, in the locker room, just by the way they play, because they play for the name on the cross of their chest, not the name on the back. My only concern is, do they shoot it enough? Do they shoot at a high clip? They're only averaging 74 points per game, shooting 33% from the three-point line. When it's late March, do they have what it takes to knock down big shots? That's my only concern. We know what McClung can do. He has the most points in Big 12 right now, 245 points thus far. He hasn't even played his best game there at Texas Tech. I think he's going to have one of those breakout games when he has 30, 35 points like we've seen him do at Georgetown. But this team has potential. I don't think they've reached their potential yet, which is a good sign for Chris Beard and his team.
Chris Beard gets his teams to play so hard that when you step on the floor against them, you have got to have a hard hat on. I mean, you've got to be ready for that level of a challenge. The fact is, they made Texas with Matt Coleman, Courtney Ramey, Andrew Jones, a loaded Shaka Smart coach backcourt. They made Texas uncomfortable. That is a word that McClung used, describing the way that you have to play at Texas Tech. They make teams uncomfortable because in practice they actually get uncomfortable to then win games. And that, to me, is the sign of a great coach. And that's who Chris Beard is. McClung talked a lot about him and more. Here's our conversation with the Texas Tech star. Well, it's great to have the Big 12 Player of the Week, junior star for the Texas Tech Red Raiders, McClung, joining us on Demetris and a Splash of Fanta. Mac, I want to start with this. When was the first time you dunked a basketball?
That's a good question. I think it was in ninth grade, my ninth grade summer, and it wasn't a very impressive dunk. So I definitely kind of improved over the years, but it was a struggle for a while.
What was so I heard? Well, I did some digging, and they said that you was addicted to the Vertomax. How often did you use that tool to improve your basketball skills, especially jumping ability?
Yeah, I used the Vertomax. I think that got stretched throughout the years how much I used it, but it was part of our routine. It's not something I did a crazy amount. I think the biggest thing in my jumping ability is probably my footwork. I did a lot of footwork as a kid, like quickness and lateral drills and the ladder, and just working on my lateral quickness a lot, and that helped me get a lot of coordination, I think. But yeah, the Vertomax definitely helped too.
Yeah.
You know, we were reading up on you talking about this conversation, and I want to look back to your upbringing. Tell me about the dynamic between you and your sister, Anna, the types of competitions you guys had growing up.
Yeah, I think that was probably what fueled me as a competitor a lot. I give her a lot of credit. She was about 4 years older than me. She was on the USA national team with women's soccer, so she was a great athlete. It would literally be everything. Like like we competed in everything. To you've heard like who can eat their breakfast faster to who can win in a race or a tag. Like I probably annoyed her a lot, but I always wanted to beat her because she was so successful, and I was definitely proud of her for that. But we competed with almost everything.
So your dad used to punish you too if you guys didn't do the dishes or take out the trash. How many episodes happened through the years when you were younger? Was it once a week at least one of you two screwed up, or was it once in a blue moon when you guys forgot to do the dishes or take the trash out?
Yeah, it was definitely mostly me missing the chores. Anna did most of the chores, but yeah, we would have to like run a lap around the neighborhood, or I'd have to do like 1,000 push-ups or something crazy. But no, it was something. It wasn't all bad because he wasn't beating me or anything. He was just kind of trying to make me better in a different way. So I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed the competition. He would always throw like numbers he thought I couldn't do, so I would always kind of take it as a challenge.
Is it true that one of the routines was around the neighborhood garbage cans?
Oh man, I don't know where you found that out. I think I really messed up, and I forgot the garbage a couple times, and maybe I should so he made me walk him around one time the whole neighborhood just to kind of embarrass me, and I would remember to take him back the next time. So that was a memory that I won't forget.
If we came down to Gate City, Virginia, what would a weekend in Gate City look like? Tell us where we would go.
See, that's a tough question. I mean, it's a lot of good people. There's not much to do. But I probably hang out with my friends. What I like to do a lot is my friends and I go to the gym. We play King of the Court. We'll do it for hours, and it'll just be a bunch of smack talking. And
I'm ready for you, young fella.
Yeah, yes sir. It always gets to chirping and talking, but it's what we love to do. So that's just where we took our nights when I was back in high school and before.
So you mentioned King of the Court, right? Because that's one of my favorite drills. I think it's the best drill to get better individually. Is that something that you guys do at Texas Tech before and after practice, or even during practice? Is that something that you guys go to get your rhythm? Because as a player, that's was my go-to. Was if I had a good game or bad game, I would always make sure that I would play one-on-one to make me better.
Right. Yeah, I think before the season we did a lot. I would always remember challenging the guys when I first got here. Just love that challenge and stuff. But during the season, coach is real particular about our legs and stuff. So if he caught me doing that, he'd probably smack me across the head or something. But no, we kind of tuned it down a little bit.
I was watching a Fireside chat, which the Fireside chats are sometimes with players, but it is clear who the star of these chats is. And that's your coach. I mean, it's Chris Beard. What is it like being a part of a Beard Fireside chat?
No, you got to stay on your toes. There's some shots thrown, but no, he's really good with those Fireside chats. No, they're really funny, and they have a bunch of topics you get to know the players and coach more. So they're really fun.
What type of coaches is he, and how does his team's philosophy and his philosophy fit what you want to do?
Yeah, he's wired differently. You just have to come and see. He's just a winner. Like that's all he cares about. You see him joking and stuff, but like this guy is all about winning, and he's a competitor that it's very rare to see. You know what I mean? Like it's never shutting off for him. Like I don't know how to explain it. You can look at certain people and here's the man himself right here.
Oh, he's coming in here?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Right there. He told me I need to work on my game and get off the media stuff. So no, he's a competitor like I am, and I'm glad to be around his energy for sure.
And I guess to that point, Mac, when you first started at Georgetown, yeah, I remember you telling me that you were wired differently. Um, to that point, when you're playing for a guy like Beard, just how much do you feel like this is what you were striving for?
Yeah, this is I think I'm so happy to be here. I think his biggest term has been uncomfortable. Like you can never get comfortable if you want to be successful. Like you always got to be finding ways to be uncomfortable. And that's kind of our motto this year. And he's always pushing me. It's never enough. You know what I mean? There's always something more. Like it's always something he's holding me accountable for. Like if I don't come correct one day, like it's, what I mean, he will not allow that. So it's just really a player's dream, because you wanna be successful. He tells you exactly what you have to do, clear cut, and I think that's one of the best things.
Did you have any doubt transferring to Texas Tech? Obviously you're from Virginia, you left Georgetown. Did you have any doubt in yourself or this team about how you would play and how you would adjust and adapt to new culture?
So yeah, it was hard to take the leap of leaving, but I think that I really me and my parents did a lot of research on everybody, and it's hard not to see people face to face with the COVID. So that was the only scary thing. You didn't look someone in the eye and hear what they had to say, but I did a lot of research, and it was just like it would have been easy to stay near home or something like that, but Coach, he just gave me no other option. I had to come and see what it's about. I knew at the end of the day I would be pushed to, my best. So I kind of had a lot of faith in that.
So because I'm a Syracuse alum and I went to Syracuse, you gave Syracuse about 26 points last year. I remember watching. I'm like, yo, who is this dude killing us right now? Like, I wish I can go out there and kind of slow you down. But, what chains of events led you to leave Georgetown? Because you were one of the main guys. I think you still averaged about 16 points per game. What led you to leave and make that choice to go down south?
Yeah, it wasn't the playing time or the coach or anything like that. Just some things happened off court, and it's just I felt like I had no choice. But a lot of respect to Coach Ewing and everybody. They were really really helpful for me in this process, and I still respect him a lot to this day.
What was it like when your family and friends or the state of Virginia heard that you were going to Georgetown in the beginning? Was it a surprise? Was it a shock? Were people looking at you like you was crazy? Like, what was the vibe in your state?
Yeah, I think my hometown was really proud of me. We don't have many guys come out and play Division I basketball where I'm from, so they were all really happy. But it was something. I've always been told I couldn't do this, and then when I got to Georgetown, I wouldn't play at Georgetown, and then now I wasn't gonna play at Texas Tech. I wasn't, you know what I mean? It's just a reoccurring thing that I hear. But obviously there's gonna be supporters and doubters everywhere.
Why did you think they thought you couldn't play at Georgetown or at Texas Tech?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they have the reasons. Same reason I was ranked 300. I didn't forget about it. So it's just what it is. You can't really focus on it. You just got to stick to the process and work. Work will always win. So that's what I believe in.
Do you remember the first time you were doubted?
Yeah. I don't know. Probably you talking about basketball wise or inside the family? I think.
How about anything?
Yeah, I think probably, shout out to my dad. I think he did it on purpose a couple of times, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And just he would do it because he know it'd push me. And, that kind of set the tone. He saw what kind of kid I was. Like if there was a wall, like I was going to try to break it down until, until it was broken. So I'd probably say it would start in the fam.
When did you first jump and realize I might have some hops?
Yeah. So like my sophomore year, I was an okay. I could dunk it. I wasn't too crazy athletic or anything. And then we went to a summer camp, and I started jumping, and I dunked it with two hands real easy. I was like, that's weird. And then I was like, well, let me try a windmill. Let me try this. And I started getting them, and I was like, wow, like I think my balance changed overnight. So it was a crazy experience for my best friends with me. They were all having a good time. So I remember that day.
So you said you had a chip on your shoulder. You still play with a chip on your shoulder. I was one of those guys. I was kind of like the underdog. I had to work my way up, prove other people wrong. What is the reason, like what is your why as a basketball player? I feel like everyone has a why, or why they play, or why they play the way they play. I play with a lot of energy. What is Matt McClung's why?
Yeah, I love that question. I think I actually have that question tatted on me. It's if your why is not bigger than you, then your goal will eventually subside. So like my why is
Fool me, young
way
fella. Say that
my
one more
why
time for me. Say that one more time
Say
for
it
me.
again.
hopefully I got this right. I might got it wrong. I think it says if your why is not bigger than you, then your goal will eventually subside. Just saying like it's bigger than me. You know what I mean? I want to inspire a lot of people in my situation who, if you look at me, you don't think, I can play, or, just I love seeing, the underdog win, and this is bigger than me. This is bigger than the doubters or the supporters. You know what I mean? I just want to, do what I'm put on this earth to do and inspire a lot of people for good.
It's human nature as a college basketball player, right? The vision, the goal is always to make it to the dance floor.
Right.
How much have you thought, if it's after a big win, if it's when you first arrived to Lubbock, like, you're going to get your chance this year to be in March Madness.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing about Coach is his expectations. We're not trying to make it to the dance. We're trying to win the dance. You know what I mean? So he's not coming here saying, let's make the tournament this year. That's not what he's about. So, well, we're trying to win it and be one of the best teams by March and April. And we got a lot of work to do, and we realize that. And we're going to continue to keep working.
Why can this team win it?
I think that, obviously coaching is really big. And then also we have so many coachable guys who want to win. And obviously you got to have talent. And I believe we have a lot of talent with a lot of our guards and bigs and experience as well.
So, player of the week, I'm a scorer. Well, I was a scorer. I'm not a scorer anymore. But what is your workout regimen like? How many shots do you get up, before and after practice? How do you train to be ready to play on a Saturday and a Tuesday's game?
Yeah. So I used to have the same schedule. Like I would do this amount of many like pull-ups, this amount of many shots, and before every game. And then I started working on different things. I read the Kobe book. I don't know if you've read it yet, The Mamba Mentality.
Of course, I got that in the back somewhere.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not finished or close, but I read some because I used to deal with superstition a lot. I wanted something the same way every time.
I feel like every basketball player has that superstition, from whether it's getting to the gym on a certain time, tying your shoes the right way, or just random stuff. So what is your superstition?
Yeah, no, I was weird. Like every little thing I was superstitious about. But I read the book and he was talking about his like pregame, and it's like, he really worked on what he felt like he felt. Like he was like, how do I feel today? What do I need? Like I start in the film room. That's the biggest thing for me. And that I feel like I've taken the biggest jump is in the film room. And then I'll go on and see what I got to work on that day. And I'll be like, man, I feel like I need to work on this today instead of this, instead of having a set regimen, like I'm getting this amount of shots and this, you know what I mean? Some days I need to work on my defense and do some lateral movement,
Yeah. So if I was the scout and I'm scouting you, I would say really good player, tough. He can shoot the three ball. He's athletic, but sometimes he plays a little bit too out of control. What would you say to the scouts or just people watching when you get in those, you have those 2-3 minutes when you're playing kind of out of control?
Right. Yeah, that's something that obviously I agree with you. I've been really working on that from last year, and I think I've improved, and I'm going to continue to keep improving, and I have to improve for this team to win. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I'm going to be great in that category soon, hopefully.
Let me ask you this though, Mac. How much of that how much do you still have to be you? Like you're still Mac McClung. It's different than other players, the way that you play the game. How do you work on it without becoming somebody that's not Mac McClung?
Yeah, I think that's big with guidance with the coaches. They always told me like they just want me to be the best version of myself. They don't want me to change, just be me. And they said this is what you got to do to win and get your dream to come true. And I'm about it. So I want to do what's best, and I think that's what's best. And me and learning with shot selection like last year we talked about, and playing more poised and getting my teammates more involved. And that's what I'm gonna do if that's what needs to be done.
What's the difference between Big East basketball and Big 12 basketball?
Yeah, both are great leagues. They're very comparable in a lot of ways. I think that the Big 12 this year is ridiculous, I think. So, and and the Big East last year had a lot of great guards, Marcus Howard, Miles Powell, all those guys. So it was somebody every night, just like the Big 12.
Who's the toughest player you've had to guard?
I don't know yet. There's so many great players in the league. I think that a lot of them, the best guys get their teammates involved in big moments, and they
even before now though. Maybe it was somebody at Georgetown, like who was just so hard to guard.
I don't know. I think it's a hard question because it's just like a team defense kind of thing. I don't know anybody one-on-one that I got really that I was like, this guy's just different. I think they're really good, but I think concepts with defense and stuff just makes it hard to kind of tell.
When you played against Georgetown when you were at Georgetown last year playing against Syracuse, did you know anything about the rivalry between the two teams? Did the coaches or players or the assistant coaches tell you a little bit about the history between the two programs? And did that motivate you to come out and bust Syracuse over the head with 26 points last year?
I think it's probably a world-known rivalry with Georgetown and Syracuse, one of the greatest matchups. So I definitely knew about it, especially Coach. He obviously reminded us, and he was a part of a lot of those matchups. So it was.
What did he say to you?
You said what?
So what did he say to you? Because I'm being nosy.
I don't even remember. I just think those matchups are personal, and you want to win them. It's such a rivalry. Every time it's a game like that, you definitely want to come on top.
Tell me about life in Lubbock and something that you like about it.
It's a great place. It's a big town, but a small town all at once, and a lot of great places to eat and a lot of good people.
Favorite spots to eat?
I like Table 82 and Las Brises are my favorite right now.
What TV show are you watching nowadays?
I don't even really watch TV. I don't know. I'm weird. I don't really watch TV or movies or anything like that.
You a gamer?
I don't really play video games either, no.
See, I like you already, man.
What do you do for fun?
I play basketball. Try to gain an inch every time I can.
Exactly. That's a good answer, young fella.
What's your message to Red Raider fans?
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here, and these guys have, with COVID, they've blew me away with their support, and this fan base is really different, and it's something I'm very happy to be a part of.
Mac McClung, the top player in the Big 12, and this past week in his Texas Tech Red Raiders, they're starting to play some really, really strong basketball. Mac, thanks for the time. Good luck going forward.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Good job, young fella. Keep it going, man. Stay locked in, man. Finish strong.
Yes,
Luck with
Appreciate
you,
that.
Thanks for the time, man. Keep
All
it
right,
up. Rooting for you.
Thank you.
Just a really interesting talk with Mac McClung. What was your biggest takeaway from it, Demetris?
I think he's a pretty cool kid. He's very, very humble. He works hard. He has transformed into, because you never know when you transfer from a school, you never know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what the coach says or what your thought process is. You still have to perform. You still have to be liked by your teammates, and you still have to let people know that you're here to stay. And he's doing that. They're top 15 in the country. He's leading the team in scoring, and he is one of those main guys that is helping this team succeed this year.
Yeah, he is. He's turned it on. Kyler Edwards and him, they make this team tick. And I think that Terrence Shannon's another interesting piece for the Red Raiders. And they defensively, they're so sound. Like you said earlier, they need to stay in an offensive rhythm. They didn't even play that well offensively at Texas. They just totally out-defended them in the second half, and that led them to that win. And I think big picture, what happens in terms of being able to strike from the perimeter, it always is a huge element in the month of March. Is can you find that kid or those two kids who can catch fire and be able to make those types of shots? That's what it's going to take. But for the Red Raiders, they have the identity. They have the DNA down, and it starts with their leader in Beard. So I look, you're just – we often say it cliche-wise, but I really do think that Texas Tech is one of the teams. If I were to pick 5 teams in the country, Gonzaga, Baylor this year, Villanova just because they're such a tough team to play.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin because they're another team that defensively they just grind you down, they make you work. I just wouldn't want to see them. And then I picked Texas Tech, like teams that I do not want to see in my region. The Red Raiders are one of them.
Yeah, because they do their work early. And what good defensive teams do is they don't respond when the ball is in the opponent's hand. They react. So as the ball is getting passed, they're reacting. They're getting to the spot. They're beating their guys to the spot, and they take pride in their defense. They know that the defense is their calling card. They turn their defense into offense, into easy transition plays, transition threes, and getting the ball in transition, easy buckets, because it's so hard to score, not just in the Big 12, but in basketball period. It's difficult to score. And they know that their best way to win is to play defense. So, and that's why I love defense, because I'm a defense guy. Even though I played zone at Syracuse, you still play high-level defense. And defense is something that you have to have inside of you. You can't have an off night playing defense. There may be times offensively your shot may not fall or things may not go your way offensively, but you can always play defense. And it says something about Chris Beard and his philosophy on his team's attitude every single night when they get out on the floor. They know that they have to play defense every single play, and they make teams uncomfortable.
Did you know when you were getting recruited by Syracuse that you were going to be in a 2-3 zone?
Yes, I did. And I didn't mind because Syracuse recruited guys like me, tall, lanky, run, up and down the floor, athletic. A lot of people don't know, even though Syracuse plays zone in the games, they play man-to-man for 2 hours in practice. So the reason why Jim Boeheim plays zone, because it's effective. It's been so effective that other teams have adopted this philosophy. Teams in Europe have adopted this philosophy because 7 out of 10 guys are going to miss shots. So it gives them the edge to turn their defense into offense. If Syracuse has good rebounders and they're shooting the ball well, it's going to be hard to beat them. But playing a zone so Syracuse doesn't play the typical 2-3 zone. There's tricks. There's different reads that you have to make sure. There's different traps that could possibly happen depending on where the ball is on the court. So playing the zone is a very, very unique style of defense, and a lot of teams are adopting.
All right, nickel dimers time. Who are we buying? Who might we be selling here this week? Who are you buying, Demetris?
You know, because I'm still an old Big East guy at heart, I'm buying Villanova. This is the team that we haven't seen in 27 days because of 6 postponed games. They're 9-1, number 3 in the country, 4-0 in the conference. They haven't even played enough games in the conference. But even though they almost gave it away Tuesday against Seton Hall, they found a way to win. And that's what good teams do. That's what great coaches do. Even though this team hasn't played a game, it's very, very difficult to get up, get on a plane, and play a game full speed, knowing that a team in your conference, because the Big East Conference, if you don't come to play, you'll get beat. You'll get beat badly. So for them to have the break that they had and come out and win at the end of the game, I'm not sure about that last call. Is it a foul? Is it a jump ball? I'm not sure, but at the end of the day, they won. And you know, guys coming off the bench, they had 20 points off the bench. Jermaine Samuels, he had 20 points. Gillespie stepped up with 22 points. James Robinson Earl didn't really play too well. He was 3 for 12, but they got it done. So my team of the week is Villanova.
Well, here's the thing with Villanova, and this is something that is not getting talked about enough. Jermaine Samuels had COVID-19, was taking a little bit longer to get back in practice for this team. He did not get cleared from myocarditis until Monday. He gets cleared on Monday. Villanova pushes their practice time back as a result. Samuels practices Monday. He does not start in Tuesday night's Seton Hall Villanova game. This kid had basically 24 hours to get back in the frame of mind to play a Big East game against a good Seton Hall team that's going to make the NCAA tournament. And Jermaine Samuels, you would have never known. He's a super freakish athlete, and it showed in this type of game. And he took over the game down the stretch when Sandro Mamukelashvili for Seton Hall was rolling as well and making plays for others and coming up huge. It was such a high-level game.
Yeah.
Villanova is not getting brought up in that tier one with Gonzaga and Baylor.
They're second seed right now. I don't know why they should be first seed. They're top 5 in the country.
Well, yeah, they should absolutely be on the one line of anybody's bracketology. They're number 3 in the AP poll. We could talk about what is legitimate and what's not legitimate about the poll. That's one that's legitimate about the poll. This team only has one loss. It came to Virginia Tech on a neutral floor early on in the season. They haven't lost since. This team has the senior point guard in Colin Gillespie. What does that mean? I look back to Brunson, Archidiakono. It carries. It's how Villanova does it. It's point guard you. Also wing you. I mean, they have great wing players. Justin Moore being one of them. Samuels is a power forward, but he can play out on the arc. This team has a Villanova. It's that Villanova DNA we've been used to seeing. I think what determines how far they go is what they can continue to get out of guys like Caleb Daniels, the Tulane transfer, out of Brandon Slater, out of a Cole Swider, who was in at the end of the game, made that go-ahead free throw late. But when you have Gillespie and Samuels as seniors, and you have Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, who didn't even play well,
and
Jay Wright's so used to routine. Look, Villanova should be in tier one. The only reason why they're not is because they didn't play in nearly a month. Consider that when you're talking about Villanova. It's something that needs to get considered about them. I think that they absolutely are going to be on the one line. I would put it right now, they have a 3-game lead in the loss column. They have no losses in the Big East. Creighton has 3. Seton Hall has 3. Villanova's winning the Big East. They're winning the Big East.
Right. And I think they're going to continue to get better once they get in some type of flow. You talked about Earl not getting in the rhythm because of that time. And I was one of those players where if I didn't – so I made sure that I had to do certain things every single day leading up to the game because, basketball is a rhythm game. It's a touch game. You want to feel good. So once this Villanova team gets a consistent schedule, I think they're going to get better and better and better. I think they took a little break because of the postponed games, but they're going to continue to get better, and they're going to not even surprise a lot of teams because their philosophy, their mindset when they step on the court is championship basketball. And Rick Wright has done a tremendous job of creating a foundation. You have to be a Villanova player, you have to come in there with no pride, no ego. You're playing for the name on the front of your chest, and that's what he does with his program. And I think this is a Final Four team.
Oh, they can get there. And the way that they played against Seton Hall after that long of a layoff was really something. I got to bring this up. And I may be guilty here. I said a couple weeks ago that I wasn't sure if there was a national championship caliber team in the ACC. And the argument might still be that there isn't one. But here comes Virginia. And early on, they were ranked in the top 10 for a reason in the preseason, top 5 for a reason. Yeah. They get off to a slow start. They lost that game to San Francisco. But I think the dynamic between Sam Hauser, who stretches the floor, and you have a 7-footer in Jay Huff. What did Seth Greenberg tell us? You can't let Kihei Clark, you can't have him doing too much. Well, the way that they played against Clemson, it was a dominant win. But in the greater scheme of things, I think that their ability to hit the three-pointer gives them a different edge than we've seen from other Virginia teams, and you know that defense is not going to waver. We may have prematurely said that the ACC doesn't have a national championship caliber team because I think Virginia's coming along here and could sort of fly under the radar into potentially a very deep NCAA tournament run.
I do like Virginia. I think they have the potential to make it, to the Final Four and really compete for a national championship because they have those experienced players who have already won. And it goes back to your point when you talked about playing in March, which teams can click. We already talked about Virginia and how we know they're going to play defense. But every time we see Virginia, we don't know if they're going to play well on offense or not, where they can go, 8 for 15 or they can go 3 for 20. So if they find their rhythm at the right time, and also winning a national championship is about timing, which team gets hot and stays hot at the end. So this team has the potential to get hot at the end. Also, Florida State, a team that's not getting enough credit. If they're not a top 10 team, top 15 team, top 15 team in the country, I don't know who's watching basketball, even though they lost a game that they shouldn't have lost to. But there's a lot of teams that's in the top 10 that shouldn't have lost to certain teams. This team is a top 10, top 15 caliber team, and they're taking it out, and they're going to continue to take it out on their opponents and prove to the world that they should be a top tier in the top 25.
It's a weird year in the sport because you have Duke, Kentucky, not performing at the level people are used to. And so as a result, people form their opinions. They think a league isn't as good. It dilutes everything. Listen, Virginia won the national championship 2 years ago. Returning experience, it is so much more important than incoming players.
For sure.
It is, and we're seeing it in this sport again.
Mm-hmm.
So either you're going to adjust as a coaching staff on how you do things, and the transfer market's about to be wild, wild west even more than it already was, but you've got to be able to stay old. Mike Bray always says you got to be able to stay old. I'll tell you who's impressing me. Alabama, man. This team has won 8 in a row. They're going to win the SEC. I mean, this team is the best team in the SEC right now. I think that people would argue, John, you're wrong. It's Tennessee. Alabama, Nate Oates is showing why he's one of the best young coaches in this sport. When he's in his second year, and he's got this program so much in a better place than anything they've been to recently, between Jaden Shackelford, John Petty, Sr., Javon Quinterly, who's added a different dimension. They have so many dynamic guards. Many dynamic guards. And when you have that in the month of March, and you are allowing, with the exception of one opponent, fewer than 1 point per possession. They've been one of the most efficient teams defensively, according to KenPom. This Alabama team, they hung 100+ on LSU, but they're also really good defensively. Oates is big time. Alabama is the real deal, folks.
I agree. And defensively, that was a question mark for them.
Big.
They're good.
Especially early in the season, they were not getting stops.
Right. Like, can they stop guys? Can they stop teams? Could players stop the opponent in front of them? And they are doing it. Look, this team, you mentioned it, they're first in the SEC. They're 7-0. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They're very, very hot. They have 5 starters that you can't leave open. Everyone is shooting over 35% from the three-point line. They get into the paint. They force the defense to collapse, and they get wide open shots in the three. They get wide open shots in the corners and in the wing. And at the end of the game, they love the pick and roll with Herbert Jones. So when he rolls, the defense collapses him because he's so effective finishing above the rim. It gets guys wide open. And what Nate Oates is doing, this team is playing well as they're rebuilding. A lot of teams can't play well as they're rebuilding. This team is going to get recruits, and Nate Oates is going to continue to develop his philosophy and create a foundation, create a system there at Alabama. The Alabama fans are waiting. They needed a coach like Nate Oates to come in there and change the whole program around, and that's what he's doing.
It's exactly what he's doing. And I think they're going to win the SEC. I like the way that their schedule pans out. I think that this team has a completeness about it. They don't need any one player to be great. They have a bunch of different guards that could be great on any given night.
Yeah. Speaking of play,
they're a team. Anything less than a second week, it would be a disappointment for them. Let's go to this weekend here. Let's go to this weekend.
Okay.
Anything on your mind? I'll tell you what. I got a couple things. Ohio State's going to play Wisconsin. I can't figure the Buckeyes out. They went to Illinois. They won. They lose at home to Purdue.
They're so
offensively,
up and down.
Yeah, very up and down team.
Yeah. They're still
in Wisconsin.
They're still trying to find their leader. Who is their leader right now? You know, if you're watching the
E.J. Liddell was really good at Illinois, but yeah, it comes and goes.
And you know, like you never really know what you're gonna get out of this Ohio State team. Someone needs to step up and say, "Hey, I'm gonna lead on the court, in the locker room, on the bench." But they have the potential, but not the consistency like you want to see.
Yeah, I like Wisconsin in that game. How about Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State? They're going to face Baylor.
Ooh, listen, the young fella, he's tough. He's a freshman,
really tough.
And he's giving these juniors and seniors in this competitive conference buckets. And I won't be surprised if they make it a battle for this Baylor team, even though, Baylor does a great job of individual defense and team defense. That's their calling card. And they know if they want to win a championship, they're going to have to play defense every single night, which they're doing. And that's why they've been the number 2 spot this whole year. But I love Cade Cunningham. He's one of my favorite players because he's 6'7". He can shoot it. He has great vision. Defensively, I think he needs to get better, but he has great potential. He kind of reminds me of a Sean Livingston type of player where he can do a lot of different things, posters up, smaller guards, and I think he's only going to get better. He's only going to be here for another couple of weeks because he's going to the league.
No, he's no question about that. I was hoping Cowboys could be eligible for the NCAA tournament. They've appealed to the NCAA about that, the violation and not being able to play this spring. It'd be so cool to have Cade Cunningham in the big dance. I hate that happened. We'll see what happens. Shocking things can happen in this sport. I think Oklahoma State could give Baylor a bit of a scare on Saturday afternoon. Maybe it's just hope from me.
Oh.
Watch out. You never know. Watch out. We got to get out of here. At the Field of 68 on Twitter. He's Demetris Nichols. I'm John Fanta. Thanks to Matt McClung for joining us. Thanks to our producer, Pranav. Follow at the Field of 68. We've got the Bulldog breakdown for Gonzaga. Dan Dickow said their poetry in motion. We've got Rock Chalk Jayhawk. We've got Deshaun and Douster and Deshaun. We've got Goodman and Hummel. And we got Demetris and a Splash of Fanta.
We everywhere.
Subscribe to YouTube as well. So long, folks.
So long. Have a good